everyone, this is Denise at Something Beautiful Handcrafts, and this is the All My Dolls video. I'm outside because it affords the best lighting possible, and there's not too many places in the house where I can film this video with the majority of the dolls. It's really got a lot of cloud cover, and smoky cloud cover at that, but it's still pretty decent lighting. Okay, so I was trying to figure out how I wanted to introduce all the dolls. For the most part, most of them have their own video when they got there, and I showed you how I cleaned them up. But not all of them, because there was a lot of space time between several of the dolls, so they never got their own videos. And some of them I didn't have to do anything to, so they didn't really get their own videos either. So I'm going to introduce the dolls and give a little bit about their backstory and their plans. I was going to do them in the order that they arrived, but I decided instead I want to talk about face molds, because that is the reason, well, it's not the reason I got them, but it's the reason I have so many different ones. Otherwise, I just would have had the original 6. Okay, so right in front of you are Kaya, the Sonali mold I'm calling Adara, and Mary Grace. Now, Kaya I got locally. She's actually the only doll that I bought locally. I just happened to look on Facebook Marketplace and saw her, and she was only $30, and I was pretty thrilled. So I didn't even go more than, if I went 10 miles from the house, I don't even think I went 10 miles from the house and got her. And she's in pretty good shape, except that she was missing her hair ties, and she's missing her belt, and her hair has been cut. It should be much longer, much longer, maybe 3 inches. Other than that, she was in really good shape. No marks or anything like that. Her face paint is nice. So I went to Joann's and got some shell buttons, and that's pretty much good enough for me. And at some point, I'll pick up a belt for her on the eBay or one of the Facebook groups. But she's got her shoes and her dress, and so I'm pretty pleased with that. I may re-wig her, I may not. Doesn't actually matter. Kaya, I was surprised that her face is, well, it's not like super squishy like the other ones, but it's still relatively soft, and her limbs are relatively soft. So she's not super hard plastic, or super hard vinyl, I should say, like the other Mattel dolls. And I assume, because depending on when you got your Kaya, of course, this is an earlier Kaya, and I assume that she was one of the ones, that got left over from the molds that Mattel had from Pleasant Company. And I will talk a little more about that when I talk about Kit, because Kit has some interesting things going on with her. All Kayas that I know of are Pleasant Company stamped, as well as I think the boy Logan heads. They also have that Pleasant Company stamp, because that's the mold. But she is just she's a little softer vinyl than the other AG dolls. Okay, next is the Sonali mold. And this doll I just made a video on her. It was not the best video, I'm sorry. When I got her, I was really disappointed. Pleasant Company dolls, they're thicker dolls. They have squishy vinyl, but the vinyl is just a little thicker. The faces are fuller. I don't really want to say they're bigger. Yeah, they are bigger, but they're not much bigger, but it's enough that It makes the doll seem more substantial. The bodies are bigger by like at least a quarter inch. The arms are bigger. Sometimes the Pleasant Company dolls don't fit the American Girl clothing. So when I got her, she just looked skinny and tiny. And when I first turned her over to look at her, I could not see immediately the AG stamp. And so I thought, oh, did I get tricked? Is she a knockoff doll? See, I was like, oh, look at that naked neck. But it was then when I looked really far down and I was like, oh, okay. And she does have a body tag. And I was like, oh, okay, that's much better. But still, I was a little disappointed in her. So when I first took the video, I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to, I'm just not really going to enjoy this. I'm not really putting things into it. I'm just taking a video just so I have some kind of proof that I'm actually doing what I'm doing to this doll. Like I'm doing it, not someone else. I was amazed. I thought I was going to have to throw away the wig. But that's not the way it turned out. I'll give you a 360 view of this wig as the phone autofocuses. Okay, so it's a little squiggly now as the temperature, has changed in Ohio, and the curls start to fall after a while. But okay, there. Look at the ends. Okay. They're not like super smooth. Curly hair just isn't going to be after a while. But compared to what you saw in the other video, how completely frizzed up that back was, this is pretty good. So, and then here are her eyes that I painted. And the original 46 does not have freckles, and so now mine has freckles. And basically, when I went to the Create Your Own on the website, this is the way I did my Create Your Own doll. And I was like, wait a moment, you know what? I can get all those features that I want if I just, get a Sonali mold and do it myself, which I did. A little bit of gold left over in her eye from the mixing, but I'm not terribly worried about that. And I can fix it if I want. I don't know. Someone asked about sealing. I used acrylic paint. I'm not really worried about it fading. She's not going to be in any bright light, and there are no kids to play with it. So for the most part, it should stay on there for some time until I decide to touch it up again. So I'm really not going to seal it. She is wearing the number 46 outfit. I can't remember which one this particular one is called, but she's got the skirt on and the little cute boots. I ordered the outfits separate from the doll, so she did not come in this meat outfit, but I went ahead and ordered it for her since everybody else was getting their meat outfits. The third doll over here is Mary Grace. I kind of wanted a Mary Grace. I wanted a Mary Grace because everybody wants a Mary Grace. And I thought maybe I would get a Cecile with her. And I tried to get a Cecile and somebody beat me to it. And I thought I'd try some more Ceciles, and Cecile is dangerously expensive. But in general, so is Mary Grace. And I decided instead that any Sonali mold would do, and I would turn her into Cecile, which obviously is not what happened. But I was on eBay looking for Mary Graces, and generally they're like out of the range, but there were 3 that I was watching, and they were less than $100. And I want to say all 3 of them had at least their meat dress. And so I tried the first auction, and I lost by like $2 or $3. I had a limit. I wasn't going over, and it was only $2 or $3. And then the second one, I lost by $2 or $3. I was like, wow. Then there was a third one I was watching, and nobody else was bidding on it. There was no one bidding. I didn't see anyone watching. And so I waited so patiently, and the auction ended at 12 noon. And at 10:30, I had to leave the house. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to bid. This is the max I can afford to spend on this one doll. I'm going to bid on it. And if anybody goes over, they just go over. And I'll have to wait until I can get a more expensive Mary Grace doll. And I won the auction at the bid I wanted. So she came, and she looked a hot mess, which most of my dolls do, which is why I get them for the price I get them. Her dress has a tiny little tear in it. It's not too bad. The boots are in great shape. She didn't come with her slip or pantaloons. It was pantaloons she's supposed to have, but that's easy. I make those easy, so not a big deal. I may or may not get the hat for accessories. She was actually limbs very tight, though I have to put that head back on the way I want it. What I did discover was this pin curl over here was cut off, and this one was totally destroyed. So I recurled the pin curls, and I'm thinking I might pull down a piece of hair over here to make up that other pin curl. I may or may not. These ones over here were perfectly fine. See how she has 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, her hair was just, was all over the place. And so I washed it, conditioned it. It's still a little flyaway, but I love the color of this wig and I love its bounciness. It was not in the meat braids, and someone had already pressed out. I can only imagine they flat ironed those braids. And so I decided that I'm not going to put them back. There's nothing wrong with the meat hairstyle. It's great. But for the purposes I have the dolls, I'm going to want to style her hair up in different ways. And so it's nice not having the crinkle of the braids over there. So it's just going to be the way it is. It's a full-length wig. Here are the next 3 dolls. We have, not just like you, number 30, with the Asian-ish mold, the Jess mold. In the middle is Josefina with the Josefina mold. And on the end, of course, is Eddie and the Eddie mold. Okay, now, number 30. Number 30. I wanted a Jess mold doll, an Asian doll. And Jess is only half Asian. And yeah, the doll kind of reminds me of one of my friends from college who is half Korean. And Jess seems to be pretty hard to find, Jess. And number 30, number 40, and I can't remember who else. One of the other dolls, 60 something maybe, I can't remember, are retired. So I had quite a time trying to find them, and they are expensive. Basically, they are the same price that they were new. Jess was Girl of the Year, and 30 was retired, I think, in either 2018 or 2019, and 40 not too far after that. So they haven't been retired very long. But it seems like no one is giving them up. They're like the Eddie molds. Like no one is giving up Eddies. So finally, I had a couple different ones in my eBay watch list, and this particular one was $30. I wasn't going to get her because she had ink all over her face, but for $30, I couldn't pass it up because that was a fraction of the cost of the other ones, and I figured I could use a challenge, and it was quite a challenge. So watch the video that I did on her and trying to get the ink off. It's still not all off. Okay, at any rate, being an AG doll, she doesn't fit into my historical scheme of dolls. And so she's not historically dressed, which is kind of cool because Kit was my standby doll that kind of just went into whatever era I wanted to because she was outside of the original 6. but she is a historical doll, so I uh, put her back together. I'll tell you more about that when she gets there. So she's not my roaming doll anymore. So I feel like now I have the freedom to place the non-historical dolls wherever I want them in history, depending on how they look. So 30 is my roaming doll, and right now she's in a 20s dress. It was the Art Deco dress, and I want to say that's Pixie Fair. I can't remember. Anyway, it was the Art Deco dress, but I did some modifications, and now it's just a really cool black dress. Next is Josefina. This is a first edition Josefina. When I got Josefina off of eBay, I just wanted a Pleasant Company Josefina. And I had read somewhere that because Josefina was the last doll before Pleasant Company changed hands, that most of the Josefinas that you see would be AG Josefinas. So I thought kind of it would be a long shot to find one. But I found her, and she did come. She came with a skirt, meat skirt on. Or either she did or the other Josefina did. I can't remember. But I got a meat skirt out of the deal. And that's when I realized that the back of her stamp has a 1 on it. So she is the first version of the Pleasant Company Josefina, squishy vinyl and all. I was really thrilled about that. Her hair could use some work. It's a little dry, but it's all there. So that works for me. It's got a little flyaways, but it works for me. I don't know how difficult it is to get a new Josefina wig. You know, all these girls basically, especially the original 6, their wigs are okay, and I toy with getting new wigs for them. But for the most part, I think I'm all right. I think I'll just leave them as they are. She's really pretty doll, really pretty skin. Right now, she is wearing her birthday camisa and skirt that I made from the Pleasant Company patterns. If you want to know more about that, you can see Josefina's video on her patterns. Now, next is the Addie mold, Addie. And I didn't have the Be Forever Addie and this Addie at the same time. I kind of wish I had. Then you could compare the difference in faces. But I looked them up, and she just looked really different from the Be Forever Addie. And there was some discussion about her hair texture being different and the skin base color being different. So I just really wanted the original Addie with her squishy vinyl and all. And I'm thinking maybe her and Kirsten. She's the doll I paid the most for. I think actually I paid more for her than Mary Grace, but not by much. But I did pay a little more. When I got her, oh, she looked awful. Her hair really mats. And so she really needed some TLC and some deep cleaning. But she turned out wonderfully. One thing I do have a problem with her and Josefina are these earrings tarnish, and I guess they're permanent earrings. So I'm kind of stuck with these tarnished earrings, and I haven't decided what I'm going to do with them. I think one of Josefina's is bent. I would like to replace the earrings. I don't even know how that works. I guess I could call AG and find out if I could order a pair of replacement earrings. I know they say they're permanent, but I probably could get them out, and then I'd want to get them back in. So if I could somehow order a pair of replacement earrings and fix that. Also, I just really noticed the other day, you can see it right here. Didn't notice this before, that I'm trying to get the camera to zoom in. Right down here, not see where the spot of light is from the camera, right below that, she has bubble eye. Yeah, there we go, right there. And I'm trying to decide if I'm going to fix that or not. She could have bubble eye, and it could be like that for the next 20 years. It could get worse. Now that I've popped out the eyes and painted them for the Sonali Mont doll, I could do the same for her. I assume that I could send her into AG and they would still do the eye replacement like they do for Silver Eye. I assume they still do that. But supposedly, if I do that, then she loses the lashes. And I really want these soft lashes. So I might not want to do that. I definitely don't want to lose the lashes. So since I know I can do it myself, if I think it's going to get any worse, I might just go ahead and take the eyes out and do the fix the bubble eye. Here's a question for people. See, these dolls essentially have almost no face paint on them left. It's not so bad with Addie, but for some of the other dolls like Kirsten, it just makes them look so pale. So I wonder if people actually repaint their Pleasant Company dolls. I don't know. If you have the answers to that, let me know.